Good evening. First at 5, the gun violence epidemic in Portland, with 2 teenagers injured in a series of shootings over the weekend. One of the victims is just 15 years old. Mike Benner's looking into it for us. Mike, any arrests in these cases?
Not that we know of, Laurel. Detectives are still searching for the shooters who are responsible for the violence that those in our faith community say is troubling, but not irreversible.
This was the scene in the Argay Terrace neighborhood Friday evening. Portland police investigate a shooting near Northeast 133rd in Sandy. We're told a 15-year-old boy was hit by the gunfire and badly hurt. Approximately 24 hours later, another teen shot. The 17 or 18-year-old girl, detectives say, was found near North Greeley and Ainsworth, though they believe she was shot elsewhere. Regardless,
it's sad. It's hurtful to see so many, Mike, caught up in this violence, in this mindset of this is the way out, or this is the way I survive. And it's disappointing.
Disappointed is how Sean Nayland, senior pastor at Highland Christian Center, is feeling. That's because the shootings come on the heels of 2 other shootings that injured 2 Jefferson High School students. One was last Monday afternoon near North Killingsworth and Haight. The other in October near North Commercial and Alberta. A high-ranking Portland public school official said this about the violence.
These types of situations totally strike home for me. I'm a father of a son, and his safety is totally my foremost concern. And I share that same concern with our families of our PPS students.
What we need to do is sound the alarms that we have to take action as a community.
Pastor Nayland knows it's no easy task, but he encourages faith leaders to start up mentorship programs like the one at his church, adding that the younger the kid, the better.
When I say young, I'm talking at 5, 6 years old and up. Once you try to mentor at 10, 11, 12, you can, but it's more difficult because they're set in their ways.
There's no saying this would prevent the more than 1,100 shootings we've seen this year, some of those directly impacting our youth. But as the pastor points out, doing nothing is not an option. We must do something to keep scenes like this from becoming the norm. And if we do,
we can change the future. So there is hope in this season. I don't want Portland to believe that there is no hope. There is hope.
Again, there have been no arrests in the weekend shootings and no arrests in the shootings of those Jefferson High School students. Anyone with information about these cases should contact the Portland Police Bureau. Laurel.
A powerful message from that pastor. Thank you, Mike. Also this weekend, police shot and hurt a suspect in the Reed neighborhood in southeast Portland. It happened early Saturday morning. Police say they got a call about an armed robbery, but the suspect got away in a car. Officers managed to find them about 10 minutes later along Southeast Steel Street. We don't know exactly what happened next, but at some point, an officer shot the suspect. He was taken to the hospital. Several other people were also detained. This is the 9th Portland police shooting this year, the most since 2010 when they started making these stats available online. One person is dead following a shooting near the Portland airport Saturday night. This was at the Embassy Suites Hotel. One person was killed in the shooting. Police say 1 to 3 suspects ran away. No word yet on what led up to the shooting near the airport. Developing tonight, the man accused of killing 5 people at an LGBTQ nightclub this weekend in Colorado will face murder and hate crime charges. Police say 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldridge opened fire at Club Q in Colorado Springs on Saturday night. 5 people died. At least 18 others were hurt. The charges are preliminary and have not been filed in court yet. 2 people tackled and subdued the gunman during the shooting, potentially saving many other lives. The impact from the shooting is reaching communities far and wide. Here locally, LGBTQ+ advocates are heartbroken and outraged for the victims and their loved ones. Let's bring in Christelle Kumwe, who spoke with an advocacy group today. Christelle?
Yes, Laurel, Basic Rights Oregon, the state's LGBTQ plus advocacy organization, they say they were heartbroken over the shooting, but not surprised. We also were able to stop by Scandals, an LGBTQ plus bar that has been in the Portland community for over 40 years. Now the owner says places like Club Q in Colorado Springs are very important to the LGBTQ plus community.
I think what places like Scandals bring to the community is a place where you get to be normal, not accepted, but we're normal here.
They know that they'll be affirmed, or they'll be addressed with the right name and pronouns and respected for that identity. It can be really valuable.
Basic Rights Oregon says they've seen an increase in anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. Reports to Oregon's bias crime hotline increased by over 50% in 2021 alone. The organization has resources on its website, basicrights.org, for anyone experiencing mental health difficulties as a result of this news. Laurel.
Thank you, Christelle. Now to our homeless crisis. Groups that hand out supplies to people living on the streets can't keep up with the demand now that winter's approaching. They get supplies such as tarps and tents from Multnomah County, but the county is now limiting the number of things nonprofits can take, leaving people who are homeless with even less. In an email obtained by KGW, which was sent to nonprofits, Multnomah County's Joint Office of Homeless Services says due to staffing and budget constraints, it is reducing how often groups can pick up supplies from bi-weekly to once a month. This leaves groups such as Hygiene for All in Southeast Portland with about a quarter of the supplies they normally have.
Honestly, it's pretty demoralizing to be out here telling people, I'm sorry, we don't have these things.
On Fridays over there, sometimes they hand out tents and sleeping bags, but they have, like you said, they haven't been doing it.
That was a homeless man who relies on local nonprofits for help to keep warm. The Joint Office says it recognizes the significant impact this has on nonprofits and those who are homeless. And these changes don't apply to severe weather or emergency situations. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, a KGW investigation into retail theft. Business owners complain shoplifting has become more frequent and brazen, and prosecutors aren't doing enough to help stop it. Investigative reporter Kyle Eboshi dug into the data, and he's here with a preview. Kyle?
Laurel, this is an issue we really have been hammering on, and for good reason. Retailers in Portland are very frustrated, and we've seen it. Shoplifters stealing armloads of merchandise, then walking right out the front door with no fear of getting caught. As a result, stores are closing or reducing their hours. We dug into the data and found so far this year, Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt is prosecuting 46% of misdemeanor theft cases. That's far less than his counterparts. In Washington County, the DA has filed charges in 93% of the cases, and police are referring a lot more cases. Clackamas County prosecuted 84% of the petty theft cases. The numbers are not aligned. Your issuance rate is much lower than theirs.
I could issue 100% of the cases, and that might make you feel better in this interview, right? But that might be disingenuous if you don't know how all those cases end up. Am I losing cases at trial? Are cases getting dismissed down the road? So issuance is a factor, and it's an important one that we should be looking at. But you got to look at every single part of the system.
Again, our full investigation is coming up tonight at 6 on The Story. We've also posted on KGW.com and the KGW YouTube channel.
We look forward to it. Thank you, Kyle. Portland police have arrested 3 teenagers accused in a spree of burglaries. They all happened at marijuana dispensaries in Southeast Portland early this morning. In each case, police say the teens used a car to ram through the front doors and get inside. Officers say the teens tried to get away in a car chase. Police stayed back and tracked them from the air. Eventually, their car stopped and officers arrested all 3. The teens are all 14 or 15 years old. Today, Governor Kate Brown pardoned about 45,000 people in Oregon for marijuana convictions. This affects people who had simple possession offenses. In this case, that's possession of less than an ounce of marijuana in pre-2016 cases, assuming the person was at least 21 years old. There also can't be any other charges or victims. Governor Brown said in part, no one deserves to be forever saddled with the impacts of a conviction for simple possession of marijuana, a crime that is no longer on the books in Oregon.